believe it. 3 days more, and he would know if his shadowy suspicions had flesh to them. There lay the road he would travel over the next few days. He scried it carefully. Even though he had left for the coast quietly and with haste, there was always a chance that news of his arrival had outstripped him, and that enemies lay in wait. And it was no mean task, spying out ambushes and surprises on this coast of all coasts. Everything about it reeked of trickery and concealment. There were reefs beneath the water of the bay, betrayed only by the foam fringes on the far waves. The cliff face itself was a labyrinth. Over centuries, the creamy limestone had been hollowed and winnowed until it was a maze of tapering spires, peepholes and snub ridges like sleeping lions. So, it was all along the west coast of the island, and it was this that had given the coast of the Lace its name. The tribe who lived here nowadays was also known as the Lace, and they too were full of ins and outs and twists and turns and sleeping lions pretending to be rocks. You never knew where you were with the Smilers of the Lace. They were all but outcast, distrusted by everyone, scratching out a living in outskirt shanty towns or dusty little fishing villages. Villages like the one that now came into view, nestled between a cliff and a beach in a rocky, half-hidden cove. Here it was, Skaine's ultimate destination, the village of the hollow beasts. It was a Lace village. Skein could see it at a glance, even though he was too high to make out the turbans on the grandmothers, the young men's shark-tooth anklets, the bright stones in everyone's teeth. He knew it from the furtive location, the small pearl fishing canoes cluttering the waterline. He descended until the freckling of 2-legged specks on the beach became foreshortened human figures. His sight alighted on 2 young girls, one supporting the other. The taller of the girls was dressed in a white tunic, and he guessed instantly who she must be. Arilou. Arilou was the only hollow beast whose name he knew, and it was the only name he needed to know. She was easily the most important person in the village, and arguably the only excuse for its existence. He contemplated her for a few seconds before soaring again and preparing to return to his body. As it happened, the girl supporting Arilou had a name too. It was designed to sound like the settling of dust, a name that was meant to go unnoticed. She was as anonymous as dust, and Skein gave her not the slightest thought. Neither would you. In fact, you have already met her, or somebody very like her, and you cannot remember her at all. Chapter 1. Arilou. On the beach, a gull storm erupted as rocks came bouncing down from the cliff top. Half a step behind the rocks scrambled Even, her face flushed from running. No member of the village would take a shortcut straight down the cliff unless there was a matter of some urgency, not even bold, agile Even. Several people dropped their ropes or their nets, but not their smiles. Never their smiles. For they were Lace.
"An inspector!"
Even called to them as she recovered her breath and balance.
"There is a lost inspector coming to see Arilou."
Looks were exchanged, and the news ran off to this hut, that hut. Meanwhile, Even sprinted across the beach along to the base of the cliff, her feet scooping ruts in the spongy sand. There she scrambled up a rope ladder and pushed through a curtain of woven reeds into the cave behind it. According to Lace tradition and tale, the caves were sacred places, perilous mouths leading to the world of the dead and the gods, and the white-hot, slow-pumping hearts of the mountains. Mouths that might snap you up suddenly with stalactite teeth if you were judged unworthy. Even's family was considered worthy to live in the caves, but only because of Arilou. Moments later, within the cave, Even was in agitated conversation with her mother. It was a council of war, but you would never have known it from their smiles.
"So what is he planning to do to her?"
Mother Govry's eyes had a fierce and urgent brightness, but her mouth continued to beam, the lopsided swell in her lower lip speaking of stubbornness and warmth.
"How does the inspector inspect?"
They say he wants to grade her.